Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I have the Master Grade God Gundam, or if you watch this show in America, it was the Burning Gundam or the G Gundam. Um, Back in the early 2000s when this aired on Toonami, they didn't like the God and Devil thing, so they changed the name. But anyway, so I'm just going to unbox this today, and then I'm going to just snap it together and do a quick review on it. I am going to be painting it, but not right now. I'm still working on some other projects, but just kind of either burnt out or waiting for paint to dry. So figured I'd snap something, and even though this is a master grade, it is a little smaller, and it's an early master grade. It's one of the first master grades with a full inner frame. So yeah, it's not as detailed as maybe some of the newer ones. So first off, you can see this is from, well, you guys probably can't see that, it's really tiny. This is from 2001, and we have some cool box art with his burning finger hands there, and Doan Kashu down at the bottom. And we'll open this up, and one of the first thing you see is this cool like poster kind of thing. This doesn't come in newer master grades, but I really wish it did. I wish they would bring this back. I think it's just kind of cool. I'll put that off to the side. And then we got some stickers. Yay! You have some stickers for the eyes, cameras. These go on the knee parts, and then all of these black stickers are lining for the skirts and shoulders. We won't be using any of those. We'll be painting all that. And there's not really a whole lot of like caution markings and stuff like that for this. If you guys have ever watched the anime, you can kind of see why. It was very like fantastical. You know, it wasn't like a really realistic, not that any of them are, but it was very far from realistic Gundam series. And then under that, we have what looks to be our A runner, which has got some white parts, some clear parts, some clear orange parts for the burning hands, and then some yellow parts. So that's all pretty cool. And you got some polycaps. On to the next thing, you can see this little bag right here. We have some screws. There are screws in the inner frame of this kit, but that's not a huge deal. And then we just have a bunch of white armor parts. Here we have some, looks like some gray for the inner frame. And then if I understand correctly, which is probably what this is, you get two V-fins. You get one that was in the A runner, and then this one is made out of rubber. And my understanding is just because the Gundam can kind of get into a lot of action poses, they gave you a rubber one so you wouldn't break it or knock it off, which is pretty cool. And then we have a little, or actually not little, it's much bigger than like the little pilot figures. This is a Doan Kashu like figure, and it's pretty cool. I've not painted or anything like that, any kind of these figures, but I might paint him up. He's much bigger than like the pilot figures I've painted, but this is a much bigger guy. He'd be like a, I don't know, 1 to 10 scale or something like that. And then we have this really bright green, clear green for the beam sabers, some blue and some red for the armor pieces. Now this guy doesn't have a lot of accessories. Pretty much his only weapons are the beam sabers. Everything else was him fighting with his hands. He was kind of like a kung fu-ish Gundam. And then the last runner, we have a bunch of gray for the inner frame, and then we also have some rubber pieces. Another thing I know is that the hands and the feet are rubber. We'll see how that goes. Obviously I'm going to paint it at some point. The rubber probably won't hold up well to paint, but the feet are like that, so it stays planted when you're putting them in some cool poses, and the hands, we'll just see how they go. And then something really cool, I don't know if you guys can see that behind there, but that is actually a little jewel with a sticker behind it for the center of the chest. When he goes into his God mode or burning mode or whatever, his chest opens up and you can see that. So that's pretty cool. And then we have our manual right here, kind of that old art style. A little bit about the Gundam, all the runners, some information about the screws, decal guide, and then starting your construction. Looks like you're starting with the arms, which is different, and then continue with the arms. You got some nice color images here. The color chart, none of it's in English. Obviously, this was a long time ago before anything was in English. Moving on with the legs, some more cool line art. A little bit about Domon down here. And legs, head and body. The core lander, this thing does have like a kind of a core fighter, but they call it a core lander that goes in his, makes up his backpack. And then putting them all together, and then some nice painted artwork on the back. So, yeah, this should be a fun little build. It's like you can see here, it's not too many runners. I'll put Domon inside there. So, shouldn't take too long. I'm actually going to probably keep the cam up and build this and kind of speed it up down the road and show it off to you guys, and then I'll do a quick review once we get it all built. Alright, so I'll see you guys in just a minute. Alright guys, so we're back and we got the G Gundam all snapped together. You can see him here just kind of standing in a static pose. And I have to say that my first impression of the kit was that it was actually a lot better than I expected. It really exceeded my expectations. Being such an old kit, I thought it was not going to be very good. But I'm pleasantly surprised. He's actually really fun to pose, move around. It's one of the earlier master grades, so it's built around the same time as the camper that I have, which didn't have a full inner frame. It had quite a bit of inner frame, but not full. This thing has a whole inner frame. It does have quite a few screws in the elbow and shoulder. The elbow and knee joints, but they're pretty easy to do. No real problems there. And it helps him keep him kind of stiff and in some of the karate style poses that he's known for. That's probably a good thing. He's got some pretty cool gimmicks. His chest piece can open up, and that kind of goes along in the show where there'll be like a little jewel in there, which they do give you, and I'll show you in a second. He's also got the binders on his back that all move around, and a core lander, which is similar to the core fighter, comes out of here, and this can be rotated so it looks like a little plane, and it's got a little, see if you can see that, it's a little dark, little Domon Kashu right there. Let's see if I can adjust the lights a little bit, make that brighter. There we go, a little better. Little Domon Kashu right there, and then that just folds out and pops in there. Oh. Pops in there very easily, as you can see. It's got these two little snap things on the sides, and now it's not wanting to go in after it gave me no problems. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. Full double jointed elbows. Nice articulation in the neck. One of the more interesting things is that he has rubber hands and rubber bottoms to his feet. I guess that's so he can stay kind of planted. If you wanted to put him in like a kick pose or something like that, he wouldn't slide around. I'm not exactly sure why the hands are rubber. They're a little annoying because they have mold lines all the way through them. Here, let me pop one off real quick. And I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but yeah, you can kind of see there in the shadows those mold lines, and obviously those are going to be a lot harder to sand out, so that's kind of the one difficulty. Yeah, you can kind of see them there. So that's going to be a little annoying, but it's not too bad, and I'll show you why in a second. He also has his little hand covers that come out and around, and they have these little spikes that open up. So that's pretty cool. Got them all wonky out of here. The only real weapons he comes with are beam sabers, and you can stick them in the side skirts right here. So pretty large handles, at least. And those just pop in there pretty easily as I break him after I told you he was good. They have like a little tab and a little slot in the beam saber handle. It goes all together pretty easily. And then this can rotate around. So there's that. I'm just breaking this guy, huh? Trying to show him to you. Pop that back in there. All right. And as far as seam lines go on the kit, there is one on the head. It is two pieces sandwiched together. You can kind of see it right there. I don't think that'll be that hard to take care of, considering most of the head, other than the eyes, is white, and his little red chin. They didn't give you like separate pieces for the Vulcans or anything like that, so you're gonna have to hand paint those anyway. So gluing the head together shouldn't be that big of a deal. And you do have one on the top of the shoulders here. Luckily, there's a piece that covers most of it, so all you really have to worry about is this section right here. Unfortunately, that runs through a little detail, but that detail is actually going to be either painted in black or you're going to put the sticker on there. You know, he does have these cool little Gatling style guns on his shoulder, which is fun. And then there is another one on the side of the leg here. You could definitely disguise that as a panel line, you know, maybe just chamfer the edges a little bit. It doesn't line up perfect, I've noticed. So I'm probably gonna glue the seam line shut and then sand all that little area down there so it'll look a little nicer. But that's pretty much it for seam lines. The back of his legs, mine are real loose, but I'm sure once I paint it up it won't be a problem. But the back of his legs open up just a little bit here, if I can get it to open without falling apart. There you go, and there is some thruster detail up in there, which is really hard to see, especially with that light. Let's see if I can shine it up in there. Yeah, just a little bit, you can see it. I'm sure if you put some nice metallic touches on there, that'll come out real nice. So yeah, he's pretty cool, pretty posable. He's actually pretty solid despite me knocking him around here a lot and messing everything up for him. Like I said, I quite enjoyed the kit. You do get some pretty nifty accessories with him. He comes with 2 beam sabers in green, and they're a very fluorescent green. They're not that kind of pale green that we're used to seeing currently. So it looks really awesome. I don't know if it picks it up in camera, but looks great. You have a couple of hand options. You have the closed clenched fist that he has. You have these kind of open kung fu-y hands that you could do some cool poses with. These are rubber as well. And then holding hands for the beam sabers. And then what I think is the coolest are the burning fingers or burning hand. You get one for each hand, so you can swap those out into there, and that's when those covers come down in the anime. You get a second V-fin, and this one is made of rubber. You can see it's a lot more flexible. I saw a review somewhere that said it's so that it doesn't get broken when you're posing them. I don't know why you'd particularly break the V-fin, but hey, a second's always cool, right? And you get a little figure, or actually he's not little, he's much bigger than like the typical pilot figure, but a bigger figure of Domon Kashu, which is cool. And then you do have I think I showed this in the unboxing, sheet of decals. These are foil stickers. Most of it is that black lining that goes on the legs and on the shoulders and on the skirts. You have stickers for the eyes, which is, you know, typical. Stickers for the camera is very typical. He does have these 2 triangular decals that go on his knees, and unfortunately the knees don't have any like molded detail where those would be, so it's going to be a little difficult to paint that. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for those. And then behind that you have some marking decals. So what I might try to find is like an unofficial third-party decal set of those in the back, and they also have those little yellow symbols, so that might work out like that. And then the one sticker that I will use, like I mentioned earlier, he's got that little piece in his chest that opens up and shows kind of like a little jewel, and they do give you that jewel. It's really cool. It's like a bubble. It's got texture to it, and then I don't know if you guys can see that, or I'm sure it'll just show like it's got scratches or something in it, but there's actually a little symbol in the middle of the jewel. I don't know if it'll show up in the light. No, probably not, but you guys can see something in there. Well, that's a little symbol. So that's pretty cool. I'll save that for whenever I paint the kit up. I'll put that guy in after we're done. So, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's like a early 2000s kit. It went together super smooth, poses really well, has a nice full inner frame, has some cool gimmicks. You know, I definitely think it's worth it. It's very inexpensive. The list price on it is 2,500 yen, so 20 something dollars. I'm sure you'll pay a little more than that probably, but even at 30, it's definitely a cool master grade to have and build up, snap up real quick, whether you're a G Gundam fan or not. So yeah, I'm gonna look forward to painting this guy. I'm definitely gonna do something very exaggerant to go along with the show. I'm gonna keep the color scheme the same, but probably do some like heavy pre-shading and stuff, and vibrant colors, just because if you've watched the show at all, it's quite comical and not very realistic. Not that any giant robot is realistic, but it's especially unrealistic. So I might do something to match up with that. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully this came across pretty cool as a whole little one video straight from unboxing, building, and give you a little review. And you'll see this guy again once I get into painting him. I'll do some work in progress stuff. It's going to be a little bit. I'm just kind of been snapping some things up lately, kind of get like a paint queue going, if you will. And then, but he'll be, he's early on in the queue, so you'll see him soon. So thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you soon.